I'm pleased to say thank you, Rebecca, for your service to this organization. It was a remarkable year that will never be forgotten. And as was last year, a remarkable year that will never be forgotten. And it is my pleasure to read the proclamation for immediate past President Adrian Elcock, who is joining us. He is here with us right now from Barbados, safely, and there he is.
Good morning, everyone. Afternoon.
Now, I have to say, before I read this proclamation, that Adrian was really the right person at the right time for our organization. He had already laid the groundwork for the changes that we needed to have in place for the COVID pandemic. We had the completely virtual convention. We initiated the learning management system. I'm probably taking a speech, but as somebody who worked closely with him, it was a marvel for me to see him at work and understand the inner workings of the organization and how it could be improved. And I learned so much from him, my brother, my mentor, and my friend, Adrian Elcock, and I'd like to read this proclamation for you. Whereas during these years, in the exercise of his sound and constructive judgment, he has greatly contributed to the functions, decisions, and innovations of the Board of Directors, and whereas he has served in the most creditable manner in many capacities within our organization as a member of the Barbados Bridgetown Optimist Club, as club president and club board of directors, as governor, honor district and distinguished, lieutenant governor, chair of many district committees, as a member and chair of international committees, international vice president, international board member, international president-elect, and 2019-2020 president of Optimist International. Whereas his efforts in furthering the high ideals and objectives of Optimist International have been a constant source of inspiration to those who have been privileged to associate with him, and whereas his leadership and devotion have greatly contributed to the progress and achievements of Optimist International, therefore be it resolved that we, the members of the 2020-2021 Board of Directors of Optimist International, on behalf of all individual optimists present, give you this scroll as a permanent record of our gratitude.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to have received this scroll, and I really thank President Mark for his friendship, and I thank Becky for your kind words just now. And from Anne and Sine and I, we really are truly saddened that we're not there with you, but hopefully you can feel our love coming from Barbados. It's a bit wet today. We had a hurricane this morning, and fortunately our families and all the optimists that I'm aware of are safe. And we will get to work next week, seeing what work the optimists can do to help those who are not as fortunate as we were in battling through this hurricane this morning. So thank you all there in Atlanta, Georgia, and to the 404 crowd, thank you all from Sine and I. And Anne and I, sorry.
Now, Jim Boyd, please help me. Are we doing this video first or this first?
Thank you, President Adrian, for your remarks. And what we're going to do now is play that excellent video that he sent me a couple of weeks ago with his remarks for the convention.
Hello, Atlanta. It's really good to see all of you once again, although I can't see you in person. Anne and Sine and I, we are devastated that we weren't able to make our annual sojourn to the Optimist International Convention. But technology has allowed us to be here with you, and we are super thrilled that we can participate in this manner to share with you a bit of the achievements of the 2019-2020 Imagine Year, but also to let you know how important each and every one of you as members, my colleagues at the board, the members of management and staff, how much we appreciate you. You have done so much to enrich and enhance our lives, and we are thankful and we are blessed to have had so many people that we now call friends across the globe join our family as one. We are super happy that you are there in your numbers. We were nervous as a board. I was doubtful, I admit it. Mark, I put up my hand. Benny, I put up my hand. But to see that we have almost 500 people at convention and we have another couple hundred virtually really warms the heart that there are so many people that still believe in this wonderful organization that we all are members of called Optimist International. 2019 to 2020, who could have imagined? It was a tough year. I have to tell you, I had some dark times trying to imagine how we could exist within the pandemic and still function as an organization. But I'm so proud of all of my vice presidents, all of my governors, and all of the club presidents who led from the front. They did not let COVID-19 defeat them, and as a result, children across the globe are better off today. Yes, there are some that will say that we didn't hit the numbers, that we lost over 6,000 members. And that is true, and I regret that. But it's better to have an organization standing on a firm foundation than to be floundering in the dark wilderness trying to figure out where we're going. I believe that the work that the board of directors have done over the last 3 years especially we have worked hard to solidify the basis of our organization and to strengthen the foundation of our organization. We have taken some bold steps, some bold decisions, and because of that, I believe we are well positioned for new leadership to carry us into the next century of service. So I want to thank each and every one of the stakeholders who have played a role in this part and in this achievement. Some may have said it was unachievable. Some may have said it was impossible. But we made the impossible achievable because of the commitment we have to this organization, and quite simply because we live the creed. That's what we do each and every day. We promise ourselves and we believe. And once we have done that, we could imagine great things for the future. So 2019 to 2020 was a year where, when the year started in October 1, 2019, I told our board of directors we had a number of important initiatives and imperatives. These included the pending sale of our building, the relocation of our headquarters to a new building if that sale was to happen. We had to define an appropriate policy framework for the use of any surplus funds that came about because of the sale of that building and other initiatives. We needed to look at how we were going to integrate new technologies into our organization so that they can become tools to reach both internal and external constituents. We needed to review and possibly restructure some of our programs. We needed to explore strategic alliances and partnerships. International expansion opportunities needed to be important, as we needed to move our organization away from a reliance just on North America and the Caribbean, but into the greater world beyond. We needed to look at how we would have implementation and execution of any initiatives accepted by the board based on the RUSA committee. RUSA, the review of the operational and the organizational structure and administration of Optimist International, that was led by past President Bob Garner and a team of committed optimists from around the world. We needed to look at how we improve the financial stewardship of the organization's assets, and we needed to review and modify the organizational policies and bylaws, and also look at our human resources. A big agenda that we started October 1, 2019 with. But I'm pleased to say that despite things that may have derailed us somewhat, we still had success in achieving a significant part of our agenda. And I'm pleased to report to you some of these successes that your board, your vice presidents, and your governors allowed us to achieve. We instituted a board-level committee that addressed certain policy frameworks that improve the financial stewardship of surplus funds of the organization, working in conjunction with our pension committee. And it laid the framework for the development of new non-member dues revenue. We, as an organization, need to move quickly ahead with earning monies outside of our members. It's important, if we do so, that we need a policy framework as to how those monies will be used. This committee has put in place board-level policies that will allow us to better manage such funds. And I'm excited that with the pending sale of our building, it's a bit delayed, I accept that, but we are operating at less than 30% capacity of the building we're in. And although there's a lot of sentiment by many about the building, we have to be practical with the use of the resources that we do have and find something that is more fit for purpose for Optimist International's amazing staff and management. We looked at another committee and we instituted another committee to look at the audit, the review, and make recommendations for the improvement of our district structures. Now, this will always be a work in progress because districts are a part of who we are. But if we are honest to ourselves, we know that there are less than 9 districts out of our 49 districts that are operating optimally. And then there are another 15 or so odd districts that are operating well, and more than half of our districts are struggling. So as a board of directors, we took the position that as much as we are comfortable with the district structure, we could not, in good conscience, not consider other alternatives and options. Now, this requires significant dialogue with our existing membership, with our new executive leadership, to find out what that structure is. But we have gotten some good research and good data, and we've made some preliminary recommendations and implemented some decisions on the President Mark that will allow us to see what the future of Optimist International will be like if it is not a district structure. We reconstituted the board personnel committee. We needed to do this to ensure that we have the best team possible to lead our organization, but more importantly, that the team that we do have, that we treat them fairly within global employment standards, but also look at the perspective as to how they're remunerated. Are they being remunerated fairly? Are they being treated fairly as employees of Optimist International? Because without them, we cannot thrive. So our board level committee, of which I played a strong role in, working with President Mark, Luke Dubois, Sandy Cyphers, and others, to ensure that we put in place workplace policies that will protect our staff and protect Optimist International. The RUSA committee, which was started under my friend Rebecca Butler-Mona, we were able to continue looking at the recommendations that were made to the board of directors in 2018 to 2019 and expand those recommendations to implement a number of them into our organization, including areas of improved training of our leadership and our members, a new organizational structure and model, such as the federation model that we put in place in the St. Lawrence region, and better use of technologies such as our leadership academy that we put in place. We also looked at the district structure, as I mentioned earlier. We gained the board's approval to list the property, as I mentioned earlier, for sale. And I'm pleased now that it's going through a regulatory process in St. Louis to determine whether approval will be made to grant permission for the sale of said building, since it's a historic building. We launched new technologies, including our learning management system, using all of our in-house resources to do same. We didn't have to bring in any external consultants. And I'm very thankful that young Michelle Turner took the lead with this. She has left to a greater opportunity, which came in part because of the experience she had working on this program. And I thank Michelle for bringing her intellect, bringing her enthusiasm and energy to letting us get an online training portal that I affectionately call the Optimist International University. So I'm very thrilled that we hit that accomplishment. We looked at our convention when we realized that we could not have an in-person convention in the peak of the pandemic. And we swiftly moved with the help of some amazing volunteers and an amazing team at Optimist International to implement our first ever virtual convention. And what a convention it was. Almost 1,800 people participated in that convention. And I am extremely happy with the outcome that came from the efforts that were put into it. It was a very short runway to get it planned, but it came off flawlessly. And there was a level of energy that came through the screens across many living rooms, bedrooms, or wherever you sat in your home. Some people, I believe, also sat in their cars. But that being said, there was a tremendous energy that came out of it that helped to reinforce why we do what we do and to lay the groundwork to ensure that we were sustainable going into 2020 to 2021. So thank you for coming out in your numbers there. We also introduced new technologies again, where we looked at our magazine and we launched the digital magazine, not just as a PDF version, but we partnered with Issue, the online magazine portal, and that created a lot of opportunities for us to embed video content, work with our clubs to get greater content so that people can feel, see, and hear and read what clubs are doing around the world. I'm very happy with the initial efforts that we have made, and I think based on the feedback that we've gotten, this is something that will be there to stay. In doing that, we were able to save over $60,000 in terms of what we spent on our printed magazine. And I know some of you are still a little put off with that, and I ask you to just embrace the change and thank you to those who have done so. We successfully trained our staff and our members in the efficient use of digital platforms for communication. We had to quickly get up to speed with programs like Zoom, which has become now a verb as to how we operate. We have been able to have more meetings, more engagement at all levels of our organization. And in doing so, we were able to introduce new initiatives where we were able to talk directly with our club presidents, like our Club Presidents Forum. We were able to have active engagement with our vice presidents and our governors in a number of fora that worked for the organization. We successfully launched 4 new digital-friendly Optimist programs, whether it was Spark in the Park or whether it was the photography and the arts, creative arts expression programs. We were able to introduce new programs. And one of the things that I never was able to communicate appropriately as to why this was important is that when I had the dream of looking at our website, and I believe that our website needs to be more outward facing rather than inward facing towards our members, we need to have valid, authentic content. And what better place for us to get that content than from our members and the work that they're doing through the clubs. And this is why we initiated these type of programs, so we can have content to share with the world and show what is possible when we put our minds and our hearts and our heads together to achieve service to our children around the world. We use that technology to engage our members, and we created things like the Opti Forum, where we went outside of our members to a wider community, where we took the bold step of tackling topical issues. Now, our organization is generally conservative in nature, as many of our members are, such as that. So am I. But I felt that we needed to look at ways that we stimulate the thinking, the thought processes that govern many of the social issues that are facing our world today, whether it's race relations, whether it's childhood trafficking, whatever the topic. Optimists, as long as it relates to children, must have a voice and a seat at the table. And the best way to do that is to lead from the front, so that those who are paying attention will take notice to this organization situated in St. Louis, Missouri, called Optimist International. We must be leaders in efforts to protect children across the world. We reviewed and made recommendations for the improvement of many board policies and the bylaws through the work of the Governance Committee, and I want to thank all of you for doing so. We expanded our international footprint into 8 new countries up to the end of 2020, and I welcome them into our fold. We engaged other service clubs working through the Rotary, Kiwanis, and Lions in a significant way, and this year in 2021, we are looking at launching our first ever partnership project, of which past President Rebecca has been charged by President Mark, building on the foundation of the work we've done over the last 2 years to roll out a new initiative that all major service clubs in the world will partner on. We have launched a federation program pilot from October 1 in St. Lawrence region, the Optimist Francophone, the OFC, and we believe that that is something that will be an interesting model for us to study to see if it leads to a footprint or a blueprint, I should say, for growth going forward in the future. I'm thrilled to say that we constituted an executive search committee after it was announced that Executive Director Benny Ellaby was retiring, and that committee did a phenomenal job. Over 200 applicants for the role of Executive Director of Optimist International, And who said we are the best kept secret? People want to work for us. And we used the professional search firm, the Moran Company, and working with past President Dave Bruns and a team of committed optimists spread across the major geographical territories of Optimist International. We were able to whittle that down to a final 3, of which the board of directors last month met and approved the selection of Cheryl Breen as our new executive director. Cheryl, welcome to our fold, and I'm pleased that I'm part of a board that took the bold step to look at how we could shape our leadership for the 21st century, but also, it hasn't been said, but to become the first female executive director of Optimist International. That's a tremendous step for our organization, and I welcome you and I encourage you to use everything that you impressed us with in our interview to impress our membership and drive our organization well into the future. We looked at more board of directors meetings because we realized in the pandemic we had to meet more frequently to ensure that we stayed on course. And I want to thank my colleague board of directors. I want to thank the vice presidents and the governors for meeting more frequently to ensure that we were able to achieve results. We looked at how our management and staff were responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of them unfortunately contracted the disease, and we built an infrastructure at OI that allowed us to still function, but also to protect our team members and to support those who were challenged with the initiatives, with the issues that came about because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now that's a long list that we were able to achieve as a collective. It did not come about simply because of Adrian Alcock. It came about because there are a group of people that we call directors, that we call governors, that we call vice presidents, that we call the management and staff of Optimist International, putting our heads together to encourage you, the membership, to do what you do best in the clubs and ultimately the communities. They motivated the club presidents to really raise their game and come up with creative ways to serve online. I see clubs doing reading programs online. I see clubs distributing care packages to the needy. I see clubs giving more scholarships. See clubs doing technology programs and giving tablets to allow children to have a chance at being educated. We had and we have a fiduciary duty as members and as directors of this organization to do everything that is possible to ensure that it is relevant for years to come. And I would like to personally thank all of the directors, the management and staff, the governors, the vice presidents, the club presidents, and indeed all members for the work that has been done. I truly appreciate each and every one of you, and I want to thank each and every one of you for giving myself and Antonia the tremendous support that you have given us over the years. To Benny Ellaby, on your retirement, I ask you to enjoy your retirement, enjoy the gifts that you're going to get at this convention, but more importantly, I want to thank you for the work that you've done over the last, I think, 15 plus years as the executive director of this organization. You're a tremendous person, a tremendous asset, and we are better because you joined our lives and you occupy the chair of executive director. To you and your family, thank you for all that you've done. To President Mark, have a wonderful convention. I'm sorry I'm not there to support you, but please know that I'm supporting you here virtually. And to President-elect, President-designate Patsy, as you take the baton from President Mark, I know that your enthusiasm, your planning, and your preparation makes you ably qualified to be the president of this organization. To the new directors, Carol Haynes, my personal friend, and my other good friend, Russ Thomas, I want to welcome you to the board of directors. And to our president-elect, Bob McFadden, you and Penny, you should be thrilled with this opportunity to bring that intellect that you've contributed at all the various levels in this organization to the seat of presidency for 2022 to 2023. I think your input at the board will be valued, and I believe that our organization will be better because of the collective elections that our members did of these three fine individuals. Thank you so much for all that you've done. and I look forward to seeing you again in the near future. Love you all. Good afternoon, good night, whatever time this is being recorded, I don't know, but I just say I love you. Goodbye.